Well, hello, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is entitled Villaneuva versus Becerra. It's a court case that was handed down last week, and it's one that we as gun owners, unfortunately, underwon. Basically, Villaneuva sued the California Department of Justice and pretty much relegated itself towards the underlying regulations that the Department of Justice promulgated as it relates to the assault weapons registration. Specifically, it had to do with the way that they went about implementing these regulations, and it had to do with something called file and print. And if you read the blog, you'll understand the basic rationale behind this. The court case was, in my opinion, decided improperly, and not because I happen to be a gun owner or a Second Amendment advocate. I think it was decided improperly because of a fundamental flaw in the way that our constitutional republic is being interpreted by the courts. Basically, it goes to a philosophical approach. If I want to make a law, I have to be a legislature in order to do it. If I'm in the state legislature, then I have to use political persuasion in order to get my fellow legislators to vote the way that I want to. This is by design. It's supposed to be difficult to make a law. Every single law that is crafted is, by its very definition, a reduction of your freedoms. Now, some laws need to be implemented because as a free society and one that's able to function appropriately, we have to have some form of regulations in the way people interact with each other. But make no mistake about it, every time a law is crafted, it is by definition an impediment on your freedoms. So our framers understood this, and they wanted it to be very difficult to manufacture a law. And more to the point, if a law was manufactured, it would have to have the political support of a majority of the people in order for it to get put through. Now, this is always tested under the constitutionality of the law, but that's an entirely separate issue. This has to do with political realities. If I want to craft a law and I need to get the support of another legislator in order to do it, I have to make sure that the law is amenable to them. More specifically, it needs to be made in a way that his constituents or her constituents aren't going to rise up in rebellion against that other legislator. As a result, draconian laws are oftentimes watered down because that's the only way that it can actually get political support for its passage. This is the way it's supposed to be. That way, the law doesn't become too onerous. Well, unfortunately, we craft these laws, and then we turn it over to an executive agency that isn't held to the same electoral standards that a legislature is, and that executive agency then promulgates rules that are more stringent than the political rules that were developed in the legislature. Basically, I want to make guns illegal. Well, I can't get any other legislators to follow along with that. So instead, I'm able to craft a law that says, well, these specific types of guns are illegal. That's something that has the political will of the majority. So we craft that law, we hand it over to the Department of Justice, and we say, okay, DOJ, now you go ahead and promulgate your own rules, and the Department of Justice says, okay, we're going to go ahead and make guns illegal. Well, we can't hide behind an executive agency. We can't allow them to develop the political will that we weren't able to garner in the legislature. This is problematic on a number of fronts because while we're looking at it through the lens of a Second Amendment issue, this could be extended to literally just about anything. Effectively, it neuters out the political realities of the legislature and puts a tremendous amount of power into the hands of an unelected group of people in the Department of Justice. Anyways, I hope you read the blog. I hope you understand the points that I was trying to get at with the blog. As always, if you have any questions or you'd like to comment or you'd like to tell me that I'm completely full of crap, you can always email me at stephen@artemishq.com. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, and above all else, stay vigilant. Until next week when we have coffee again, thank you for joining me.